Good afternoon and good morning. This is Chris Criollo with BMC Software. Appreciate everyone jumping on today's webinar with RJR Innovations. RJR Innovations is a partner with BMC. We are working to bring together a 3-day live webinar training series that's going to cover a multitude of different topics. The primary intent was to show the expanded functionality of the latest release of Track-It, both on the ITSM side as well as the ITAM side. We have Sam Maloof, a senior account executive with RJR, as well as Mike Johnson, our principal Track-It consultant with RJR. Mike has been working with Track-It for almost 20 years. He will be leading the live webinar series today. And I will go ahead and turn it over to Mike if he wants to go over some of the agenda points, and we can go ahead and get started. Again, thanks everyone for jumping on.
BMC RJR, our relationship is that RJR is an exclusive reseller of and provider of training and consulting for Track-It, as well as footprints and other products within the organization, founded in 2004 in Ottawa. I would be providing services of any sort if those are a need for you. I'm Mike Johnson, by the way. Sorry about that. I was muted, a little flustered. RJR also provides level 1 support, bilingual English and French, 24/7. Extended and emergency is available. And the goal is to provide and build solid long-term relationships with clients based on our professional, friendly, and expert advice. So today's session, we're going to cover migration from Track-It 11.4 to Track-It 2022, which is the current version. A couple of points that we want to make sure that you're clear on up front: it is not an in-place update. So when you went from 11 to 11.4 or 11.3 to 11.4, you just installed the new on top of the old. That is not what this is. You will install Track-It 2022 on a new server, separate from your existing Track-It server, and it is a process to migrate data from old Track-It to new Track-It. So it is completely new code. It is not an upgrade of the existing code. The licensing allows you to leave 11.4 up and running in production while you get comfortable and familiar with 2022. That's typically a matter of getting used to the navigation, poking around, seeing what the differences are, and getting comfortable with it. And I don't know if that is, sorry, I have something popping in front of my slide here. Not sure what that is. The migration tool is what you will download to do the migration. It's a wizard-based process. And when you run through that, you'll be able to decide which data you bring over from Track-It and which you don't. Sometimes folks will decide to start over with the inventory side of things and redo that in a new build. Sometimes people only want to bring over inventory, for instance, and not bring in help desk, but it'll be a step-by-step process that will allow you to decide exactly what to bring in and exactly what not to bring in. We have had an awful lot of customers decide not to bring data over from 11.4. They simply save 11.4 as archival data. They take a look at it and they decide that it's just easier to start clean and fresh and redo things like categories and business rules and such, because you will be redoing those anyway. There is a subset of things that do not migrate from the old build to the new build. Since it is completely new code, event policies, skill routing policies, email monitor policies, these are things that do not carry forward. You will be recreating those. The good news is that doing so in 2022 is much more intuitive than it was in the old build, and you can get a lot more mileage out of them. I have one SLA that I created in the new build Track-It that serves to replace 12 separate independent rules from the old build of Track-It. So it's a lot more intuitive and a lot more graceful to set up. Another aspect that does not come over is reporting, all right? So if you have done custom reports in Crystal, those do not migrate. You can still use Crystal if you're really in love with Crystal. I may question your sanity at that point, but you can do so. You'll just need to rewrite them because it's new tables and new fields and everything in the back end. The new build of Track-It does contain a built-in report writer, and I will show you that. So it is much more intuitive, much more seamless to use than the old Crystal Report Writer. And at that, I am going to go ahead and show you some of the new Track-It. So I think yeah, there we go. We're in time. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I cannot share the screen while other participants. Okay. All right. Hang on. We're going to get there. All right. And what do we want? We want application. Hold on. No, I want the screen. Fine. There we go. New Track-It login. So new Track-It right off the top. It is web-based, not to be confused with cloud. It is not cloud. It is still installed in your environment. Now, in your environment is a loose term these days. It could be out in AWS, it could be on Azure or wherever, but ultimately it's your server that you manage. It is a web interface, though. There is no more technician client, no more Windows install. A couple of things that go with that, better speed and stability is one of them. Another thing that lends itself to that is the fact that it is now full SQL indexed. I'm doing a manual login. Most of you will probably not. You will likely be using Windows authentication. Sometimes we have folks that still do manual login because it's easier for the techs to use Windows authentication if they want to act as end users within the system. Another thing you will notice here right off the top is proper groups in this build of Track-It. That is not something that was previously available. I often talked about creating queues or technicians that do not have their own specific logons in order to emulate the concept of groups or teams or queues. That is no longer necessary. You can now have full proper segregation and routing based on actual groups within the system. That's why you see that in my drop down. I'm going to go ahead and do my manual login here, which I do in my environment. It's going to put me back exact where it is that I left off, which is in configuration. Those of you that were involved and are still involved in the setup and configuration of version 11.4, you will notice a dramatic difference in the way configuration is laid out. It is very much simplified. You have everything divided into easy to use sections. Each section might have, 3 things tops in it that you can select, but it is a lot easier. Everything on one page. If I come up here and click on all, this is literally now all of Track-It configuration, all on one page. All right. The previously mentioned things that you might consider redoing at this point, or might lead you to not migrate at all, would be your categories. You have type, subtype, and category, a distinct 3 levels deep in your build. You can still have 3 levels deep, and it's just all in a single tree now. So it's laid out a little bit differently. It simplifies. Also, however, if you have a need and desire to go more than 3 levels deep, you can now go more than 3 levels deep. I kind of tend to discourage it because it tends to make your reports wonky and unbearable. But that's your call, not my call. This is one of the many things that we would talk about if we are on a consulting engagement with you, how you want to manage and lay these out. Yours may be completely different from mine. Mine is designed right off the top around the concept of multiple groups within Track-It. And in particular, this also lends itself to having multiple functions within Track-It and having a single portal with which your end users can go to for any sort of help. And that is this page here, the self-service web. Right? For those of you that are already using self-service web, this should be pretty familiar. You have your announcements over here on the left side. It does, of course, also support integrated Windows authentication. That way your end users don't have to remember another user ID and password. Users will have the ability, as always, to come in here and do a search. How do I set the print area in Excel? Throw in your simple search terms there. Again, full SQL indexing for the search. You can bury videos and screenshots and all kinds of cool stuff in here. Users can now provide a feedback and rating on those solutions. And users can also come in here and browse solutions, which can be helpful if they are working in a particular area in which they are unfamiliar. They can pull this up and have it available to them very quickly. Creating a ticket is here. I happen to have a custom field in here. Forgot that was there, but I've mostly pulled some of the fields off. I like to keep mine very simple. single category tree here, so I can select whatever it is that's brought me here, whatever question, problem, or request I need. And again, the idea of centralizing is I could come here to report an HVAC problem. I could come here to ask a question about, MS Office, or I could come in here to report potentially an email outage, or I could request something of HR, whatever it is that you're going to use Track-It for. Again, it works a lot better with groups these days, and it gives your end users a central source to come to get any answers or solutions to any problems that they may have. You have common requests up here in the top right. These are very common for projects and things like new hire requests like that. But ultimately, any templates that you create within Track-It, you can decide to make them available to your end users, and then they'll be able to select here. With the new business rules engine and the new Track-It, another cool thing you can do here is I like to pull priority off this screen, which probably everybody does, but again, totally your call. This allows me to get a lot more flexibility when I set up an SLA. So even though I pull priority off of my particular form here, users can still select that they have an internet outage or an email outage, or they can still tell me that they have an HVAC outage that they're experiencing.
Mike, a lot of people comment that they're not seeing what you're showing on the screen here. So not sure if there's an issue going on. Do you want to maybe stop your screen share and start it up again?
Sure. Is anybody? Can you guys see it okay on your side?
Yeah, we see it okay. Well, we see you on the configuration lookups page.
Okay. I'm on self-service web, and I have been for a bit. Okay, so let me stop.
We're not seeing that.
It's like,
Okay. How about now?
yeah, that looks better already.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Oof, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys. So what I had done is I had bounced from here in categories under lookups over here to self-service web. Solutions, again, to reiterate here, full SQL indexed. This changes a bit. Search here. You can have videos and files in here. Users can provide feedback and ratings. They now also have the ability to browse solutions here, and they can take a look at those. Submitting a new ticket is here, very similar. But another cool change that folks have kind of asked for a little while is they come in here and they can drop screenshots, copy, paste directly in. So another one of the reasons I like to pull attachments off here, because it's not necessary and as not quite as frequent. Custom fields you can always add here. Here's a custom field I created to add to my build. I'm going to roll through this area a bit faster, but it is recorded. You will hear me as well. Users can view their tickets from here. Another change in here in this build is something else that folks had asked for a long time, and that is the ability for you to provide elevated access to a subset of your users. Oftentimes, a department head or a location manager might want to see tickets for his or her team. You can now do that, and you do not need to dedicate a concurrent or a named technician license in order to give that ability. Once you go into this mode here, you can see which requester that particular ticket is for, and you'll see here I see Elton John's ticket here, which happens to be a request for a helicopter, which makes no sense, but it is fun anyway. Change approvals are in here as well if your user happens to be an approver, and this also allows them to see tickets from the details from the ticket here. You can, of course, still put links out to other useful things over here on the left side. Self-service web also, of course, supports integrated Windows authentication. You will likely bring your users in from Active Directory, and likely you're doing that today. And likely you're using integrated authentication for self-service web. All right. Back over here to the technician client side. Somebody please chime in real quick if my screen does not change again for whatever reason. Under your application settings basics, another big change is for those of you processing inbound email and automatically turning that into tickets. There is a set of shenanigans that you can employ in 11.4 in order to handle multiple emails. That's simplified quite a bit. If you want to monitor multiple email addresses, just put in your multiple email addresses. They could be for different teams or just different functions. We've talked to a number of folks that have help desk at domain.com, and then they may have urgent issue at domain.com or something similar that's automatically designed to drive greater urgency or after hours support or whatever the case may be. We're going to fully support AWS with basic as well as OAuth authorization, and probably everybody but me is on OAuth at this point, because Azure still confuses me a bit, and I decided to give up on that. Anyway, inbound email, outbound email is still a thing. Your lookups here, these are all your lists of things, your categories, your statuses, your priorities. All right. Another difference in this build, your times are tied directly to your categories. So SLAs become more of true SLAs rather than something that's very loosely connected to event policies. In the old build of Track-It, again, it is much more intuitive. When you have a priority set on a ticket, you automatically get that priority's dates assigned to it. You don't have to have something separate associated to it. Skill routing policies, again, are gone. That's going to be encompassed by business rules. Sometimes if you do demos all the time and show the same things over and over again, your cache gets a little bogged down and it takes you a little while to launch something. Should be great the second time around that we have that dialogue up, and it is, as you see there. Your business rules engine is SLAs and business rules. All right. You will be rebuilding this or building it from scratch. Now, from a business rules standpoint, all of the business rules you see here now, these are included out of the box. Let's sort by those. All right. Some of these are enabled. They're active by default, and you may very well use them. A lot of organizations that use Track-It may use them exactly as they are. Create new ticket via email with any subject. That's going to be common. That one's turned on by default. All right. If you want to make a modification or make a couple of different business rules based on that one, it's just a matter of coming up here, copying the business rule, and then coming in and making tweaks on the copy. So for instance, I have one here called default email, yet it is very intuitive. All right. It's a matter of defining your conditions. In this case, it's basic. I didn't make any changes there. I made some slight changes here in actions. What I'm doing is I'm creating a ticket and I'm automatically assigning it to the help desk. Everything is still point and click. Everything is still drop down. So should be no confusion along the way. It's fairly easy to set up and configure. Business rules are going to be fairly straightforward if this, then that rules. They also extend above and beyond just tickets. For instance, I have a specific rule here set up around asset management. There are some in here that are set up around change management. So here we see some that are asset centric. Here we see some that are change management centric. New email, creation of ticket or processing of an inbound email back into a ticket. Emails around the new software license management aspect or around solutions. So you can do a lot of things with these. Again, the key to remember is these are your straightforward if this, then that rules. Your service level agreements then are going to become the time-based rules. So with your service level agreements, they're not going to do anything automatically just because they apply. You're going to have your goals, your criteria in which the rule will apply. And they are here in my case. The critical SLA is going to apply it. It's going to apply the critical priority, and that is going to occur when the critical priority is selected. That's a no-brainer. The second time, however, it's going to is when the category full path contains the word outage. You recall back in self-service web, I have 4 categories that contain the word outage. If any of those 4 are selected by your end user in self-service web when the ticket is submitted, it will automatically trigger this SLA. What does that mean? Well, it means it gets the dates and times that are set here under goals because the critical priority is set. And it also means that we're going to do these things automatically on these milestones. These milestones are time triggers. They can be an available time before a known period of time, or they can be an elapsed time since a known period of time. In this example, it's the expected due date and time when it reaches 30 minutes prior to the expected due date. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to send a notification email, just like the old build of Track-It. You can choose exactly what is going to be in that email notification. Any variables that you want to pull out of the ticket are here in the drop-down. You can insert those into the subject line or into the message body. You can get a lot more dynamic in who it is that you're sending this email to, and you're always going to have things in the drop-down. When you're adding a requester to the ticket and you're at the drop-down, you're going to have the ability, that is to the group. If you're going to assign to somebody else, you are also going to get, let me do it by group. Oh, it's by technician in this particular case. Hold on, let's do this. Let's click my drop down. Yeah, it's by technician in this particular case. Let's not save this. Let's go ahead and bounce out of this. So these are your SLAs and business rules. You will reconfigure those. Really quick, definitely before I forget here, I want to take a look at reports. Your primary navigation is the top hamburger menu here. So this is going to take you module to module to what's going to take you into configuration. Some of the areas that are going to be really familiar to you are going to be your grid views. All right, you still have grid views in Track-It. All right, you still have the ability to save grid views. Your out of the box views are the ones down here between all assignments and tickets due today. The customized grid views that you've created are the ones that you see up here. In order to save a grid view, you come down here and you can save current view or save current view as, a lot like the old version. Give it a name, make it your own personal view, or make it a public view. All right. You can decide which columns are on your grid view, just like your existing version of Track-It 11.4 or earlier. Any field that's in a ticket can be selected as a column on your grid view. You have the ability to filter. So if I want to narrow down from 297 tickets to just the tickets in this particular case that are associated with the help desk, I could come here and do assign to group, where that group equals help desk, not Acme help desk, and that would narrow me down from 297 to 79 tickets, which I now see in my grid view, all on a single page in this particular case. Okay, you still have the ability to do color coding or formatting in Track-It parlance here. That way you can have high priority tickets stand out. Again, point and click across the board still. Okay, very easy to set up and configure. Your ticket form will now look like whatever it is that you want it to look like. All right, your current version of Track-It has multiple tabs in the ticket form, and you can decide what order those tabs are in. You can decide to label on any of the fields within a tab, but you cannot change which tab a given field is on. You cannot remove fields or move fields around. The new ticket form is entirely your own. Not only that, if you do have multiple groups within Track-It, each individual group, each functional area, facilities, customer service, tech support, systems, project management, they can all have their own unique form within Track-It. You decide which fields you want on the form, which you do not. You are looking at a customized version from the form that's a little bit bigger than the defaults. All right. I have a very big additional information field here for reasons. Here is the custom field that I've added down here in the purchasing area. Purchasing is still available. If you use it now, you will continue to use it. If you don't, probably you won't, and you won't need it on the form anymore. You'll be able to pull it off. If you're doing approval workflow via change management, you will still see this here. And every time you see that little right-facing arrow, you will be able to get to that associated data directly from the ticket, including the purchase order. All right. Nope. This is really what I want here. This puts me over on the purchase order. This puts me over here on the solution and gives me the solution detail. Not only that, if I wanted to review the solution detail, if I wanted to send that detail to the end user, I could come right up here and I could send that to the end user. Here's your answer. I can spell. Oh, and then you send them a link. Now, I'll tell you why I like to send a link. It trains people to use self-service web. You're not putting the solution in the email. You're putting a link to the solution in the email. That way the end user clicks on that email and goes to solutions. And then they should think to themselves, oh, wow, I sent in an email, but I could have just come here and got the answer myself like an hour ago. So it helps train people to use self-service web. You can get an awful lot of automation out of inbound email, but you're never going to get as much as you can out of self-service web. Again, you can decide exactly which fields you're going to need here. Up here in the top left, you can decide what has a dark background, what has a light background. You don't have multiple tabs. So it's much flatter, it's much easier to use, and you can tailor it to your technician's individual workflow needs and preferences. Adding a new ticket or anything else within Track-It is just a matter of selecting the green up here. You do not necessarily need to be within a specific model in order to do that. So I could, for instance, be here at the dashboard module, and I could go ahead and launch a new ticket or create a manual asset or launch a new solution or whatever directly from here. So it's kind of universal. Up here next to it is your universal search. All right. A lot of things you're still probably going to end up doing in grids, but again, this is our search. You can decide to search everything, just a particular area. I always like to search something funny that I know is in at least one area. In this case, if I search for platypus, I get the hit that is in a solution, and I get the hit that is on 3 tickets within the environment, and then I can jump to the individual ticket or tickets from there. And of course, again, that's going to be a little bit slow due to the fact that I didn't clear my caching before I did this webinar. But there you are. You have your ticket notes down here at the bottom of the ticket. All right, this includes emails sent. It includes emails received. So you have, and I should have at least one of those up near the beginning. Email sent. Well, I'm not going to hunt too long for it. It's in there. It should be email received. You have the ability to view from here. You have the ability to come into edit mode from here. And just like the old Track-It, you have the ability to turn any of these notes on your ticket into a solution. Right from here, create solution. All right. Asset management. I want to make sure I talk a little bit about asset management here. So you still have your asset management module. You still have your assets listed here. Now, how they come to be is an aspect that's going to be different. All right. Asset management in current Track-It is a integration between Track-It and BMC Client Management. BMC Client Management is available as a standalone application without any help desk or service desk integrated to it. It is also, of course, available in Track-It since I'm talking about it. It actually comes with Track-It automatically. It is also available in Footprints and Remedy Helix line of products within BMC software. You probably won't need to come into this area here at all unless something has gone wrong, but this is your integration point. It will automatically install alongside Track-It, run in the background largely silently. If you have audit licenses today, those audit licenses will automatically convert to inventory licenses in BMC Client Management. You will automatically see those assets and be able to run audits directly from Track-It. The other aspect that integrates directly if you own licenses for already is remote control, and you can do all those things directly from Track-It. All right. The other aspects that are available in BMC Client Management to include software deployment, patch management, and compliance management. Those you do not have now, but they are available in the new build. You still have a network discovery that is going to go out there and look for all of the assets that are on your network. All right. That's largely going to be a matter of configuring IP ranges, your subnets. Where do you want it to look? And then scheduling it. If you want to schedule it, most folks will. Agent configuration, typically going to be a matter of checking this box to automatically install agents on discovered devices, and then keying in proper credentials. Another thing you may notice immediately off the board, and if not, I'm definitely going to point it out for you, is that this version of Track-It works well with multiple domains. It also works well with individual local credentials. For instance, I have a local admin here. This also helps you when you're logging into and auditing a Mac or a Linux machine, for instance. Something else we did not do at all, Linux in previous build Track-It, something we're capable of doing now. And there was no longer any differentiation between an agent or an audit that is Windows or Linux or Mac. There's no difference between the two. There's no separate process. Track-It will automatically determine exactly what it's connected to and install the proper version of the agent automatically for you. Okay. Showing you some of the integration here directly from Track-It. I tend to like to show it from a ticket. So we're going to go back into my favorite test ticket over here, which is this one here. And I will show you that I have this particular asset associated to my ticket. As a result of that, I can view asset data up here on top, which allows me to take a look at all the hardware information for the asset, allows me to look at all of the software information for the asset here, which I can organize however it is that I want. Largely, you're probably going to focus on add or remove programs anyway. We can take a look at all my Microsoft.NET stuff up here. It also allows you to do remote control directly from the ticket, which is this cool button right here. And this will basically put you out in the desktop of that ticket. And it'll do it if you install it securely, unlike the way I've installed mine, and Chrome hates me. So I'm just saying, yeah, let's go ahead and go in there anyway. Another cool thing with the BMC client management on the back end, as opposed to a proprietary engine with Track-It, is that you also have the ability to set up what we call a relay agent, and that allows you to connect the machines that are off network without the need for VPN. What the relay agent does is it automatically creates a 256-bit secure encrypted tunnel between inside and outside, and then it allows you to remote connect to machines without needing VPN. It allows you to have that machine automatically send you the latest audit results. It even allows you to push patches or software or do compliance management over the internet. That's something a lot of folks have taken advantage of, particularly because this started really picking up a lot of speed right around COVID time, where we had a lot of organizations that suddenly had people working from home that didn't used to. And again, really easy to set up. And if you already have licenses for inventory or remote control, you will have those in the form of BMC client management licenses and be able to do all those things directly from Track-It once you migrate. Okay, reporting really quick. And I think I'm already a little bit long. Sorry about that. Here is your reporting. Similar kind of layout. One of the big differences here is the built-in reporting engine. A lot of times you will see a report that's close to what you want, but not quite 100%. So what you might do is you might come in, common theme here, make a top copy of it, then come into the copy and go into edit mode there. Go into the report designer. It is a built-in report designer. It is no exporting, modifying, setting DSNs, linking up tables, setting relationships. It's our data. You just come right in here into the report. You want to change the chart that you have up here, you can go into the chart designer and you have that. If you just want to add data points to your report, you can come down here and you can find the data that you're looking for. And again, it is our data. Our report writer, our data. If I want to add status to this report, simply come in here, scroll down, and throw status on my report. Probably want a header for it, so we will throw a header into play here. Boom, and there's my header, and we will make that status. Well, now I have status on my report. It's easy as doing that. These reports, just like before, any other custom reports that you create, they're available to be scheduled here. Here is my report schedules. All right. And this is literally just a matter of what report you want to run, who do you want it to send to, what do you want in the subject line in the body, how often do you want it sent. Okay. Under application settings, this is also where you will find scheduled tickets and other scheduled jobs and other things it is that you are going to want to do. And I'm going to take a quick look here, and I think I touched on high points, everything it is that I did want to show. Again, keep in mind that if you decide you want some extra help, if you're going to reconfigure and you want some consulting around making those changes, if you want some assistance doing the upgrade, you can always contact us. If you want to look at adding new licenses for another team, if you want, to add to inventory, if you want to do patch management or software deployment, or if you want to explore that, definitely reach out. We'll be happy to have that conversation with you, as well as if you're looking to do any sort of an upgrade to footprints.
Thank you very much, Mike. This was very informative. We still have a few questions that we're answering. Again, we're here to assist the BMC group, Chris and his colleagues, in assisting you guys with anything that has to do with migration of your 11 to the latest version, as well as your data. And also if you want us to do a quick health check of your instant at the moment, and see if we need to do a bit of additional configuration. That's what we're here for. Training as well. we can help you do admin training on the latest version of 2022 Track-It. So we're here to assist in any way. Just a reminder that we also have tomorrow a session for a quick Track-It introduction with BCM client management. And we also have a session on Thursday for Track-It multi-tenancy. So these are coming up tomorrow and Thursday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we thank you so much for all your questions. We'll go ahead and answer as many as possible, and have yourself a great day, everybody. Thank you.